Keegan, did you want to say anything to your group? Any words of inspiration before we start?
I got nothing right off the top of
Okay,
it.
good. Well, you're really pleased that you invited me to do this. Is one of my absolute favorite things to do. One thing that came out of the pandemic that was awesome is the familiarity with learning on Zoom. Sometimes that can be boring. Sometimes that can be awesome. One of the values is that I could probably not fly down to Florida tonight to speak to you, but I definitely can sit here in my workspace in our high rise and chat with you guys. If you hear noise in the background, that's just some of the people that live in our building. Is anyone here a NFL football fan? You can raise your hand in chat or say yes. Is anyone here an NFL football fan? Well, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. Not sure if you guys remember that. And one of their star players, Jordan Mailata, lives in our building. He's one of the biggest players in the NFL. He's a super nice guy, but we have a dog park here. And he is one of the biggest players in the NFL, and he has the tiniest dog in our whole building. So it's always funny to see him at the dog park. So what I'm going to talk about is succeeding after dental school, avoiding WTF, why these fail associate positions. Super grateful to be here. This is National Guacamole Day. It's a big day in the Dental Nachos family life. And I remember the first thing people say during a lecture. So it's got to be important. The first thing, the best advice I can give you to avoid a why these fail associateship. You're a D1, it's going to matter. A D4. Do we have any D4s here? This is really going to matter. So let's let my 4-year-old, 3 at the time, lend you the best advice I can give you. Just make sure my sound on here. Before signing an associate contract, what should dentists?
Hire a tiny.
Really good advice. For more advice like this, text or for more advice like this, really good advice. So you guys can you see that on the screen where it says hire an attorney, Keegan? So one advice for videos that you make, so really good advice I gave dental students last night. The more videos that you make, the more you can get your message across, the more people can understand you, the less you have to repeat yourself, the more you can train your team, the better confidence patients will have in what you do. So in making videos, you'll be able to scale you. So I can show this video thousands and thousands of times to tens of thousands of dental students to hopefully prevent them from making a huge mistake and taking an associate position. There's so many nacho nuts clauses baked into associate contracts. You must get an attorney to review your contract. Thinking you can read it yourself and understand it is as naive as thinking an attorney can read the bonding bottle and do a filling. So hire an attorney to review not just your associate contract, every contract you sign, letter of intent, asset purchase agreement, partnership agreement. So I know my dental school people. I went to dental school. I'm 45. I'm a D25. So I don't know, Keegan, Brandon, anyone in the chat, why don't D4s or GPR grads, why don't they hire an attorney to review their contract? You've just invested $500,000 in your education. You've spent 4 years memorizing how the kidney works and making mediocre bite rims. You're about to go out into the real world of dentistry. Why don't you hire a dental focused attorney to help you? So someone put in the comments, why don't dental students hire a dental focused attorney?
They don't know any better half the time.
I can think of two reasons right off
Yep,
the bat.
perfect.
One, they think it's not worth it, right? And then second, they say that I don't have the money to be able to afford it.
Love that answer. So one, they don't know any better. They don't know one. So I'm going to solve that for you in the next 10 seconds. All of you are going to be able to know an amazing team of dental focused attorneys that I use that have helped many dentists not burn their nachos. And you're right. Some are like, I can't afford it. So at my brother's 40th birthday party was at the Fontainebleau in Miami. They went out to clubs. I did not go out to clubs. So I was up at dad o'clock, 6 a.m. while they were sleeping. I was having a coffee outside with my phone. Hang up my phone, and I got a message from a new grad from Temple Dental School. I open up the message, 18 lines of text. Never good news. You've never opened up a text and seen 20 lines and been like, you are handsome, you are funny, I would like to go and hang out and have nachos. Nope, it was a story about how this new dentist was being asked to do illegal and immoral things as an associate. And she said, is this normal, Dr. Nacho? I said, no, none of it's normal. You should leave this job as soon as possible. And I said to her, how did you sign this contract with this DSO? Why didn't you get a dental focused attorney? They could have prevented this from happening. She said, Paul, I really couldn't afford it. Now, this afford thing for new dentists is kind of an interesting, how do you afford to go to dental school? Most of you get a loan to go to dental school from someone. So there aren't really loans for dental focused attorneys, but since it costs like $700 to $1,500, you can ask your parents, you can ask a friend, you can put it on a credit card, you could work and save extra money. But I know deep down, most of the people watching this now and in the future, you got $750. You got $1,000 because Keegan, are you on Instagram ever? Or Brandon, are you on Instagram? Are you familiar with that platform? So sometimes I get a DM from someone and they go, I can't afford a dental focused attorney. I don't have any money. And then I go on Instagram and I look at Instagram stories and they're in Cancun. And I go, they're giving out free trips to Cancun now? Because if you couldn't afford a dental focused attorney, you most definitely can't afford to go to Cancun and drink $20 drinks. So my message to you is you invested too much time, blood, sweat, and tears in this profession. Do not make a huge mistake. When you have a dental focused attorney review your contract, only good can happen. First good thing, they review it and they say, hey, Brandon, hey, Eric, hey, Keegan, hey, V, this looks like a good contract. Restrictive covenant's 5 miles. Maybe you can dial it down to 4, but otherwise it's a good contract. Great news, right? That means you're dealing with someone who's reasonable. Other good thing, better good thing, they say to you, let's get someone's name here. That, hey, Eric, there's 14 red flags and I haven't gotten to page 2. Hey, Eric, I just want to let you know what this says right here? It has a 90-day termination notice. Never sign a contract with a 90-day termination notice. You will wind up crying inside. So what this means, Eric, is that if you work at this job and you don't like it anymore and you leave and don't give them 90 days notice and you don't give them, you're missing out on 70 days, they can charge you $1,000 a day for every day you leave early. Do you have $70,000 saved, Eric, to leave that job? So this is why getting a dental focused attorney is so important. And dental school should bring them in to talk to you because they have you take out the $500,000 or $600,000. They have you spend the 4 years. So this is the most important thing I can tell you. Now, what I like to do is pause. I'm a fast talker from New Jersey, but I want to ask, is there any questions you guys would like to ask at this time about getting a dental focused attorney or a contract? Because I'm here for you. I am not going to be getting any more associate jobs as far as I can tell, but I'm thrilled to help you not mess up your first, second, or third associate job. So you can type them into the chat. You can ask them. You can DM Keegan to ask me. We have more people coming in here, which is awesome. Promote some of you guys to panelists. If you want to be a panelist and turn on your video, you're welcome to. But what questions can I answer for you about working with a dental focused attorney to review your associate contract?
So I just have a quick one. So at what point would you go about getting a dental focused attorney?
Great
or
question.
are we talking strictly for an associateship, or is this are we going to be talking about like acquiring a practice as well?
Even more important for acquiring a practice. So yeah, so any contract someone has you sign that's going to impact your financial future and the way you make money and is going to prevent you from leaving a place or prevent you from practicing somewhere. So here's another story. I sell practices. About 4 years ago, nice young guy called me up and said, I want to see this practice. I said, okay, you signed an NDA. I said, here's where it is. He goes, I can't work there. It's within my restrictive covenant. And I live in Pennsylvania. And the restrictive covenant was 10 miles, and that's way too long. So I said, Adam, not his real name, I protect dentist type. I go, Adam, and I knew this answer, but I wanted him to feel some of this uncomfortable pain. Adam, which dental focused attorney allowed you to sign a contract with a 10-mile restrictive covenant? He goes, I didn't get one. I said, you see what happened? 3 years later, you can't buy the practice you want because you were either too cheap or too unaware to spend $750 to $1,000 because that was out of bounds. You guys don't know that much as dentists yet, but you know this. Have any of you guys had a friend reach out to you with a treatment plan from a dentist? Sometimes it happens in big cities where they say, the dentist says I need like 4 quadrants of scaling and root planing and laser gum therapy and a bunch of Arrestin. Is that normal, Keegan, right? Is that normal? And it's not normal. It's not normal for a 26-year-old to need a lot of periodontal therapy. Dental focused attorneys look at contracts and can help you with that. Now, I wouldn't go running to a dental focused attorney with every single job offer. I would observe at the practice. I would make sure I like it and bring them one that's reasonable, because you can rule many out. When I give you guys access to our on-demand C platform for 30 days for free, or you can get a crazy deal as a student to get it for a year, I have an entire 4-hour course on this. Julia Trong, she's someone I can violate dentist HIPAA. She's one of my favorite new dentists. She was a fan of mine from dental school. She's now a new dentist 3 years out. She goes, Paul, this is a true story. She goes, Paul, your course on how to find a job and interview for a job. I tell you what questions to ask and what are the red flags. I'll give you guys an example. Okay, this is a good example. I mean, maybe you can raise your hand if I don't know if anyone's dating, trying to find their soulmate, but you know someone who's dating, right? So imagine someone comes up to you. It's like, Brandon, hey, I met this person, guy, girl, whatever. They want to date me. They're really cool, but they said they can only hang out with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Is that a normal person to date? You'd be like, no, that's not a normal person to date. So I know these answers when you ask these questions, so I can give you secret behind the scenes information. So Julia was like, Paul, this is like 3 years ago. She goes, your course was fantastic. Everyone should watch it and listen to it. She goes, I listened to most of it in the Ubers on the way to my job interviews. I go, you could have listened to it a little earlier, Julia, than right before the job interview. But my point is, if nobody teaches you this stuff, there's nothing that you automatically know and how to ask. Why do they need an associate? How are you going to be compensated? What procedures are you going to do most of the time? Where is this position? And what other fun things are there to do in the area? You guys don't have to take any notes tonight. I'm going to send Keegan this recording, and I'm going to also give you pass to all of our on-demand C. I'd rather you focus on asking really good questions like that. So I showed you guys a 20-second video, and who here, raise your hand, thinks that seeing my daughter say that, hire an attorney, will make you remember that more? Will make you remember that versus just a side, right? Because it's fun. It's funny. She brings it to life with her face. It's captions. That's a 20-second video. So this 6-minute video, what I would like us to do is watch it. It's worth it for us to just like, I'm not that centered of a person. I run around like crazy. I'm on my phone. This is the only moment that now it exists, right? Whether you got a test tomorrow, a patient doesn't like you, a problem with your roommate, just take a deep breath and absorb these 6 minutes. Because what I did at one of these conferences, when they allowed us to do a video, was I wanted to put together a shortest video that will help you at every stage of your dental career. So while you're watching this video, think of questions in the chat. And each time you hear me say something that you think would be valuable to you, type it in the chat. One of the things that I do, sorry, I have my green screen on. I take notes all the time. At meetings with my team, 7 people in front of me, I write down, remember to send Keegan video for his classmates. I write it down like this. Just the act of writing things down cements it into your brain. Typing something out saying, oh, and Paul said, make sure that you interview for more than one job and don't just interview for only one job, as an example. So when you guys see this, let's just spend 6 minutes watching this, absorbing it, and then we can go over some questions afterwards. Keegan, Brandon, just give me a thumbs up that you can hear this. Imagine making a $30,000 mistake when buying a dental practice. Imagine not knowing what questions to ask or how to build a team when making the most important decision of your dental life. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, and I don't have to imagine that because I made those mistakes in 2011. I didn't know what questions to ask when buying a dental practice. I didn't know working with a dual representation broker is nacho nuts. A dual representation broker claims to be able to represent your interest and the interest of the selling dentist at the same time. So if you only listen to this much, just know that working with a dual representation broker can burn your nachos in making the most important decision. So I always want to be a sportscaster, so I can pause the tape. You guys should all take a picture of this. First up top, I've given you guys a resource. If you text that number, you will get a menu of resources from disability insurance, attorney, accountant, bank, financial planner, coaches that may help you now, may help you later. All of you are going to need them because all of you are going to need an attorney at some point. And you need a dental focused attorney to do dental focused things. A divorce attorney, a family court attorney is not going to be someone who's going to really know about your contract. I cost myself at least $50,000 by working with a dual representation broker. They claim they can represent the buyer and the seller at the same time, and it should be totally illegal. And sadly, guys, dentists seem to be the only people foolish enough to allow this to happen. It does not exist anywhere else. So I didn't know any better at the time, and I was duped by this dual representation broker, and it was my fault. I buy something. Has anyone ever read the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink? Extreme Ownership. It's really a good book to read or listen to him. At the end of the day, whether you're the captain of your sports team, the owner of a dental office, owner of Dentist Job Connect, Del Nachos, all of it's my responsibility. So I'm not blaming anyone. I do share with you that we didn't learn this in school. Do share with you that there were no podcasts in 2011. So take a picture, put it on Instagram. Anyone can have this text burned. It's totally free. You can get all the resources and you will help someone else by saying this. Now, what do you notice about the words at the bottom of the screen there, Keegan? You can read along with them, right? So when you make a video, most people do not listen to the sound, they read it. We all do this. If you have someone who sleeps in the same bed with you, like your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, maybe even your dog, our dog sleeps in bed with me, and you don't want to bother them when you're on TikTok, when you're on Instagram, when you're on Facebook with the sound off, you like when the videos are captioned so that you can read along. You don't need to hear it. So captioning videos. So this is number one, working with a dual representation broker can burn your nachos.
Of your dental life. My goal as Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, is to help you with the 4 most important decisions you will make in your entire dentisting career, or what I call the circle of dentisting life. Finding your first job, buying your first practice, hiring your first associate, and selling your only practice. Dental school teaches us a lot about the Krebs cycle and how to make a mediocre bite rim, but not enough about our dentisting core. What is our dentisting core? The decisions we make with our mind, the words we say, which are ultra important, our clinical skills, and at the center of it all, our heart, who we look to help, and the impact we look to make. Making mistakes in the 4 biggest decisions of your dentisting career can cause so many problems. And I want to give you actionable takeaways in each one of those steps. So let's talk about finding your first job. What is some common mistake dentists make is starting too late.
So this is one of the biggest mistakes of starting too late. I don't understand. I mean, I had the opportunity to work with my dad for 11 years before he passed away. I did a multiple year GPR. So I did know where I was going to work after my GPR. You guys applied to multiple colleges. Who applied to more than one college? Everybody. Who applied to more than one dental school? Everybody. Who's going to apply to more than one GPR? Everybody. So why are you only applying to one job? I get messages of dentists who are in the real world saying, my job stinks. I said, how many did you apply to? They said 2. I don't know why dentists do this. I think it's because we don't know where to go next. We don't know how to fill out the application for the real world. So we don't put ourselves out there. So you're going to meet someone in this video, a story of Jordan Souders, new dentist, just like you guys. He applied to 10 plus jobs, finally got one that paid him over $200,000 a year, one that was the right fit for you. So starting too late is a big problem.
First job should start day 1 of D1, not applying for that job, finding it. ABC, always be connecting, meeting people in industry who can help. Who are these people if you're a dental student? Who should you reach out to? Go to in-person CE events, sit next to dentists that look older than you.
If you want to be as successful as possible in whatever you do as a dentist, going to as much local in-person CE and in-person CE as a dental student is a great tip. Is anyone, Keegan's coming to our event in Philadelphia. If you go to people who run events and say, I would love a dental school discount, I would like to get there, you will meet so many people who are willing to help you. Then after dental school, you'll meet people who can hire you or maybe sell you a practice. You'll meet reps that can connect you. Some of you may have business goals of owning 5 practices. I went to the ASDA event in Nebraska and I was the keynote speaker. It was an awesome experience. Much of this presentation is from that. And sometimes I meet a D2 and they go, Dr. Nacho, I love all the stuff you do. I want to buy 5 practices. I go, Brandon, how about one job? How about you start with one job? I mean, if someone walked up to you and was like, I want to have 5 kids at the same time, you'd be like, you need some psychological help. So in general, being enthusiastic is awesome. Executing is more important. Show up, put your face out there, and magic will happen. People older than you will do you favors. This is the stuff that cannot be replicated online.
Meet them. They may not be looking for an associate, but they may have a friend who's also looking. When you go to sign an associate contract, do not sign one without having a dental-focused attorney review it. As Dr. Nacho, founder of a 30,000 member plus Facebook group, I get poignant messages daily from dental associates who did not have anyone review their contract, and now they have a problem. Problem getting paid, problem with their restrictive covenant. So get a dental-focused attorney to review your contract. Nothing bad happens. Either the dental-focused attorney says, hey, this contract looks pretty good, let's ask for a few things here, but if we don't get these things, it's still a good contract. Or they say, there's 14 red flags and I haven't gotten to page 2 of that contract. So that's finding your first job, buying your first practice. The mistake I made was with us buying a second practice, but we overpaid by at least $30,000. And here's why. Cash flow is so important. So this $300,000 practice was only profiting $100,000. So another actionable takeaway. A good way to value a practice is 2 times the net profit, 1.5 to 2 times the net profit, not just 70% of collections. So this broker valued it at $215,000 and we just paid it. There were no Facebook groups, there were no podcasts. We didn't have information on this. We just paid the asking price. And I know that we could have paid at least $30,000 less because it was a practice that was in distress. So if you're buying a practice that's in distress, the owner is sick, they have to sell quickly. That is an unfortunate life circumstance for the selling dentist. But you as the buyer, that practice doesn't have the same value as one where the owner might be able to stay on afterwards. So buying your first dental practice is so important. As someone who helps dentists sell their dental practices, I meet dentists at the end of their career and they have.
Keegan, what's one thing you've learned during this video that you didn't know before it started that you think would help you in your dental career?
I mean, the most important thing is to have any contract you're considering accepting be reviewed by a dental focused
So
attorney.
what's kind of cool, and you're smarter than you were 27 minutes ago, because here's what happens in life. You hear these things out there, right? You hear these things like have an attorney look at your contract. But when you have a trusted resource tell you something like me, it really cements things for you. You might hear someone say that 6-unit bridges are really problematic in the real world. They are. But then when you go into clinic and one of your trusted clinical advisors say, you don't want to do a 6-unit bridge here. They're really from the 1980s. They cause so many problems with teeth. It cements it into your brain. So learning things is not just hearing it once, it's reinforcing it. I tell my team, I don't repeat myself. I just reinforce things to them. So dental focused attorney, I'm not just picking just on Keegan and Brandon because they turn on their video. So could you guys also in the chat put one thing you've learned that you didn't know from when this video started that would help you in your dental career? I also put in the chat good books and podcasts that will help you. So just 3 minutes left.
Often had multiple houses, sometimes multiple spouses, but just one dental practice. So what does that mean? That one dental practice will stick with you through your career. The third thing, hiring your first associate. When to know, do you need an associate? Let me tell you the story of my best friend, Todd. Todd didn't know if he needed an associate, but he knew he was very stressed. He was super successful, amazing fee-for-service practice in Center City, Philadelphia, a fantastic dentist and an even better person, but he didn't know how to find an associate and how to incorporate that associate into his practice. I just met with him recently. He hired this associate 2 years ago, said it was the best decision of his dental career. So what are the 5 questions you need to ask and be able to answer when hiring an associate? Why am I looking for an associate? Where is the position? How will the associate be compensated? Dental school debt's a lot different from even when I went. So these young dentists have to be compensated enough to pay their debt, pay their rent, pay their food, things like that. Learn things. So how, what, where, when, why? Those are the 5 questions. Where is the job? Why do you need an associate? How will they be compensated? What procedures will the associate do most of the time? And also, what fun things are.
Take a picture of this, screenshot this. I'd love if you put it on Instagram, even though I'm in the weird face mode here, to help somebody else, but also take a screenshot of this, take a photo and favorite it in your phones. Because those 5 questions, one of you will be on a job interview. You go, oh, geez, life happens. I know you're busy. I got 2 crazy kids upstairs. My wife's at a Bruce Springsteen concert. I'm talking to you guys. I mean, I do love doing this, but life is nacho nuts. Hopefully when I go upstairs from this, they're going to be asleep. That's what I'm not really a religious person, but that's what you pray for when you're a parent, that when you go up there and your babysitter's there, that your kids are asleep. These is how you learn. Learning is messy. Learning should be fun. Learning isn't clicking through 18 PowerPoint slides. Learning if someone bring these things to life to you. When you look for a job, where is the job? Why do you need an associate? How will they be compensated? What procedures will the associate be doing? What fun things are there to do in the area? There's a really big challenge. So who's interested in learning about a crisis for new dentists like you? Raise your hand. Who's interested in learning about a serious challenge to crisis for you guys being employed? So and who here, raise your hand? Are you part of Dental Nachos? I know many of you are. So Dental Nachos has a JBN, just be nice attitude, which means like, don't be a jerk to people. Someone post a case with a PFM crown and you would have done zirconia crown. Don't call them the worst dentist in the history of the world. That's just be nice. But maybe you guys are hearing me for the first time like this. I'm really into JBR, just be real. So here's just be real. I didn't make any of this stuff up. If you go on my Instagram account today, I took my daughter to the orthodontist. I took her by El Vez. Keegan, you should go to El Vez when you're here. It's a great Mexican place. If you go there on a Friday night without a reservation, it's going to be a 2-hour wait. Okay. I don't know El Vez. That's the reality. You get mad at me? I'm just telling you the reality of going to wait at El Vez. The reality for finding a job. Is anyone familiar with Dentist Job Connect? I've started it to help solve a problem. It's totally free for you to put your resumes up there, and the practice owners pay. When we posted a job in New York City a month ago, it got 25 applications and they had to turn the ad off because they were getting too much attention. 25 applications. When we post a job in Erie, PA, they may get 0 applications. When we post a job in the wonderful Dallas, Texas, it gets 20 applications, or Tampa Bay, Florida. When we post a job in Fargo, North Dakota, or someplace in Texas, 2 hours outside of Dallas, it gets 2 applications. So the crisis that you guys should think of, or the serious challenge, is there are not enough jobs where most new dentists want to live. There are not enough jobs that are practical. So when an older dentist says, there's plenty of jobs, they've had a practice for 30 years. You want to be like, pipe down, old dentist. It's different for us. It's the same person. I don't know if any of you guys are single out there. First of all, enjoy being single. It's relaxing. You do whatever you want, but maybe one day you want to get married and have a family. So if you really want to do that and you talk to someone who's been married for 20 years, they say things like, there's plenty of fish in the sea. You're like, I don't know, there's a bunch of weird fish on Tinder, right? So, I mean, you guys get mad at them because you're like, you don't know what it's like. But I know what it's like because I started this whole company dealing with this. If I didn't, I wouldn't know what it's like. So one of my favorite dentists, new dentist, I will not reveal her name, but she's amazing. She's come to our boost camps. She moved from the East Coast to the West Coast to follow her fiance. And she is having a brutal time on the West Coast, finding a job that makes her not want to cry every day, finding a job that pays her, finding a job that doesn't make her do things that are unethical. It is brutal. So what I'm sharing with you, not to make you cry inside, but hopefully motivates you to act, is that it is very difficult to find a lot of jobs where it's popular to live. It is fairly simple to find really well-paying jobs if you're geographically flexible. So if any of you are interested into going to areas that have a low dentist to population ratio, you can go on Dentist Job Connect now. Go to dentist. You guys should all just sign up for dentistjobconnect.com. It's free. Make a profile and scroll through the jobs. It's your profession. It's your career. You might as well get some context of what's out there. Look at the ones over $200,000 a year. Look at their locations and find out how many of you would apply to. This isn't, what do rocket scientists say to make something sound hard? Because what's hard for them, right? It's like trying to get a patient to be quiet during a dental appointment. Maybe that's hard. So it's not rocket science. Why are there so many well-paying jobs in areas that are not popular for dentists to live in? Does anybody want to guess? Why is it easy to make a lot of money 3 hours outside of Dallas, Texas? We make $300,000 a year, no problems, a new dentist. You want to guess? Put in the chat. I got some good questions here too. I'm going to go over these. So here's the answer. There aren't enough dentists for all the people there. So they can charge higher fees and insurance pays them more. So I work in New Jersey, 1 dentist to every 1,000 people. Very, very competitive. Some of these other areas, one dentist to 3,000 people. So this is just the world and profession that you've come into. You can get upset at the guy on the screen. I don't know why. I already have multiple practices. I went through all this stuff. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I'm past it, right? So you're right there. I'm here helping you. I'm coming back saying, hey, this is the stuff you should be thinking about. So if you want to work in Miami, you want to work in San Francisco, you want to work in Austin, Texas, you want to work in Philadelphia where I live, it's not impossible. Just start early and really put yourself out there as early as possible.
To do in the area, because there's more to life than just dentistry. And as we wrap up, selling your only practice. It's such a key point in the career of a dentist. Sell your practice and hang up the handpiece. There should be some ceremony where you hang up the handpiece and ride off into the sunset. But you can't do that unless you sell this practice, which is a very complex transaction. Not only do you need a person, you need a person who is a dentist, licensed in that state, wanting to live in that area and be able to get financing for your practice. So one of my best pieces of advice, start early. Connect with brokers, ask good questions, connect with accountants, build your team. I'm a huge fan of basketball. My dream was to play in the NBA. That dream didn't come true. But who would be on this starting five? A dental-focused attorney, a dental-focused accountant, a financial coach, a confidant, a personal confidant that you can ask questions to, a bank along the way too. So these are people that you want to put on your.
That's another good thing to screenshot. And all of you here on this webinar watching now or in the future should text Burn to 215-798-9897. Why? Because I'm giving more than what I'm getting from you. I'm giving you a total list of advisors that you can connect with. Yes, some of them are Dental Nachos sponsors. And yes, I would love to have your cell phone number so that I can text you other things. But what I'll share with is I finally understand my grandparents and why they got frustrated with the younger generation. So some people, I don't know if you're on my email list, they write back, I'm unsubscribing, too many emails. Or some people say, stop texting me so much. You literally have companies and people that are trying to text you and email you stuff to help you for free. It's up to you if you ever buy anything. But why don't has anyone heard of Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week? He's a good podcaster. I'm on his email list. He emails me all the time. I don't write back, how dare you, Tim Ferriss? You know what I do? I stay on. Because maybe one day he's going to share a tip that's going to make my life better for free. So the lucky part to be a young dentist or a young person on earth is that social media has created so many ways for you to learn things for free. I highly do recommend you take a step and start paying for stuff, because when you pay attention. Just like our Dental Nachos yearly program, it's $299 for most people. It's $29 for students. But when you pay for something, you pay attention. Think of that free t-shirt you get versus the concert t-shirt you bought. But what I'm sharing with you is whether you're on Dental Clinical Pearls, founded by my friend, whether it's Cosmedent, don't get annoyed by anyone's emails. Don't get annoyed by text. Just scroll by. I mean, I'm on Gary V's wine text thing. Guy texts me every day with a wine deal. Maybe I want to get some Chardonnay one day. Just my phone. Stop being so crazy, because these people and these companies, and I know I'm one of them, are striving to text you advice and videos and free things that can literally change your life. So don't let your annoyance factor go up too high and say, get mad. Now, I will share this with you. This is a really good tip. It would be a great idea right now to create an email that you only use for dental stuff, that you use to give to Dental Nachos, that you use to give to employers, that you just keep in a bucket. I totally get it. Your friends from high school are planning a bachelor party. They're planning a golf trip. You think you guys got, I love when dental students go, I got so many emails. I'm like, I'm a 45-year-old dentist who runs multiple companies. Do you have any idea how many emails I get? I literally miss my cousin's kids' play. I'm annoyed by it, right? My email inbox looked like a bunch of nachos exploded in it. So I highly recommend that you go and you make a dental-focused email on Gmail that you keep in a bucket, you keep the password. Maybe you check it once every 3 days, but don't unsubscribe from Cosmedent. Don't unsubscribe from Dentist Job Connect. Keep all of these things because they are helping you with resources for free. And yes, they of course get something out of it, but you get more. I get more from Tim Ferriss than I give him. I don't think I even bought the book from the guy. I just listened to his free podcast. Tim Ferriss has this amazing podcast with Seinfeld. You should listen to it. It's great. I mean, it's great for dentists to listen to. He's making this content for free. Is anyone familiar with my friend Mark Costas, the dentalpreneur? So I recently was just talking to a new dentist who wants to give up on clinical dentistry. He's like, I want to talk to you, Dr. Nacho. He's like, I really want to give up on clinical dentistry. I don't like it. I said, maybe it's your job. You work in a Medicaid place. Don't give up yet. Listen to some podcasts. He said, I listened to the recent one with you and Mark about tunnels and how after you got out of dental school, there's no one tells you which tunnel to go through. He goes, that really helped me. You guys realize he listened to that for free. Mark Costas produces this podcast. He has me on it. We have a 45-year-old and a 52-year-old taking their time to literally share their insight and knowledge. And yes, both of us have companies. And yes, you could sign up later to be part of the Dental Success Network or sign up for MyCE. But at the core of all this stuff, Tim Ferriss, Mark Costas, all these amazing people consume this content for no cost. I want to share with you, if it was 2005 and me, Keegan, and Brandon were friends and we were texting each other, if we didn't have the answer, out of luck, nobody was coming to our rescue. Just think, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, no dental school probs, who's my friend. There's no people to make us laugh. There's no people to teach us. We're just like, none of us know. I guess we're just never going to know this answer. So that's a really important point I want to share. And I want to answer a few questions from you guys here. So one of the questions and some takeaways where it's important to remember, take things one step at a time. I keep thinking about the end goal, but I have to take it one step at a time to move forward. Great value share from that. It's a long journey. It's a big treatment plan. Your whole life is like a treatment plan. One of my courses on there, treatment plan, your life for happiness, not someone else's. Someone else wants to make $2 million a year and own 5 practices. Great. That's great for them. You want to work 4 days a week and make $180,000 a year, and your spouse makes $200,000 a year, and you're like, that life, great for you. Choose your own happiness. I mean, it's very hard in the comparable factor. I mean, dental school is literally like the dental student Hunger Games. It's pretty much the worst way to learn things. They take a bunch of young, motivated people and make them compete over nonsense. It would be like making my 4-year-old compete against her friend over an M&M eating contest. They would really not like each other at the end. I know you guys have some great camaraderie, but dental school just does not engender more collaboration. So I think that's really important. How soon is it to start looking on Dentist Job Connect? Today is when you start looking on Dentist Job Connect. Apply 9 months before you're going to leave a place. Start looking now. If you want some absolute nacho gold advice, if you want to work in Philadelphia, go to the jobs in Philadelphia today, reach out and apply for them. In the message, say, hey, I am Keegan, a D2. I was wondering if I could make a time to come observe at your practice. That is such gold, because these dentists like me and other ones that have 6 or 7 associates, we never stop needing associates. So what do you know? Maybe you're Brandon, who comes and observes as a D3 and they hire you after dental school. Hey, I know I'm not ready to apply for a job yet. I would love to live in the St. Louis area. Would it be okay if I made a time to observe at your practice? That will really make you stand out. Are fresh grads competitive enough to be looked at on Dentist Job? Like, how can we make ourselves stand out against seasoned dentists? So here's some of the tough love. And here's some of the, like, I already was an associate for years. I'm not going to probably do it again in my life. I hope not. I'm always willing to do anything to support my family. But if I go backwards into being an associate, that would be a weird move for me. Hiring a brand new grad out of dental school is difficult for good private practices. I will share why. Who here, when you go get your haircut, wants to go to the newest person there who just joined the haircut place? Raise your hand. Oh, none of you? Weird. Why don't you want the newest person? And also, sometimes new dentists, do we have any D4s here? I think we do. Sometimes D4s say to me, Paul, why can't I do the good cases? I go, would you hire you to do that in your own mouth? They go, oh yeah, good point. I really don't know what I'm doing. So the reality-based answer is that private practices like mine, it's not the best private practice in the world. We try really, really hard. It's hard for us to have someone who takes 2.5 hours to do a crown when everyone else takes 1.5 hours. It's hard for us to have someone that does a 27-minute hygiene exam when the other people figure out how to do an 8-minute hygiene exam well. What happens is the patients don't want to go to the new dentist, not because they don't think they're nice. And a lot of times, not because they don't think they even do a bad job. It's because they take too long. I mean, if you guys all went to a restaurant and there's 4 servers and we said one of the servers takes twice as long, who's sitting at that table? They go, they're going to do just as good a job on your chicken nachos and your beers, but it's going to take twice as long. Who wants to sit there? Nobody wants to sit there. And it's just because we're self-interested individuals. So brand new grads without a GPR and AGD, I highly recommend considering them. It gives you a very good year of practicing on people you're never going to see again, practicing your reps like at a gym. So it doesn't mean you can't be hired as a new grad, but DSOs tend to hire new grads more than private practices. I work with DSOs. I help them buy practices. I help them find associates. One of the reasons that DSOs are more open to new grads, there's two reasons. One, some of them have many locations and have built in some training systems and will give you some mentorship. Some, you got to ask about that. More often, they just need a dentist to keep the location open and they try to figure it out. I mean, I'll say this on the recording. I don't care. No, DSOs sponsor me. DSOs pay for stuff. They would agree, some of the DSOs. Giant DSOs coming to market to dental schools at all of their ASDA events is not because they just want to be really, really good people. It's because they need those licensed dentists to keep those places open, because their churn rate of associates can be high. And it doesn't mean it's evil. It just means it's a thing. So one of the questions that I can help you with right now, this is really, 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 really important. You should write it down. When you're on a job interview, you must ask this question. Hey, Dr. Keegan, this seems like a great place to work. I just wanted to ask this question. How often will I be the only dentist in the office? How often will I be the only dentist in the office? Because it's very difficult to run a practice by yourself, and it's nearly impossible as a new grad. Managing the patients, checking the hygiene. So if they say, oh, Keegan, you're going to be here 4 days a week by yourself, I'm serious, don't take that job. It will be terrible for your mental health. Being the only dentist as a new dentist in a practice trying to do everything is brutal. Competitive resume, I like this question a lot. I really, see, I'm writing it on my paper. I've been asked so many times about competitive resumes. I would like to get someone to help dental students who does resumes, but really it's more about making a one sheet on who you are and a bring to life video. I've done this numerous times. If you go on Dental Nachos YouTube, you will go on down on YouTube for this BTL video. This is what I would do if I was you. So I'm not going to pick on my two nice friends with their camera on, not pick on. If I was Monica, you guys know Monica, she's here. Okay. I won't say your last name. I don't want to violate dental HIPAA. If I was Monica, this is what I would do, Monica. I would get my cell phone. I would put it in front of my face and I would say this. Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Goodman. I just finished my general practice residency at Albert Einstein. I graduated from Penn Dental School. I'm looking for a dental associate position in the Philadelphia area. I have training in placing implants and restorative dentistry. I look forward to meeting you. If you have an opportunity for a dentist like me that's hardworking and would love to be part of your practice, reach out to me at paul@dentalnachos.com, or please feel free to call and text me at 267-896-1942. It's paul@dentalnachos.com, 267-896-1942. I look forward to hearing from you. Raise your hand if you got that video from someone applying for a job, if you would have confidence in them as an applicant before you met them. Do that. You can practice it 80 times. Now, you don't want to give out your real cell phone number. That is my real cell phone number. You can text me. Just so you know, this number up here on the screen, it's like my constant contact of text, okay? There's thousands of people on it. The one I just said is the cell phone that I use personally. You can have both of them, but if you text Burn to my regular cell phone, nothing's coming back. You got to text Burn to 215-798-9897. So a bring to life video is incredibly valuable for you to inspire confidence in someone. So that's the resume that I would do. Sending up mailers to off-market practice while in dental school, I think it's great. I mean, one of my friends bought $1 million practice that way. He sent out a bunch of letters, saw who was moving. I think saw who might want to sell. That's incredibly creative. To combine with the letters is go to the place where you want to practice and go to local C. You want to come to Dental Nachos event in Philadelphia because it's fun. You're going to meet great people. Awesome. You ain't going to meet someone to buy their practice if you want to practice in Dallas, Texas. Okay. It's not impossible. It's unlikely. Go to CE events in the areas where you want to be. So if it is your hometown, when you're home on your next break, try to find out if there's some CE events in that area and go to them. The podcast that I put in there, my podcast is the dentalamigos.com. That's a great one on the business of dentistry. The Dentalpreneur with Mark Costas, the most recent episode with Paul Goodman and Mark Costas. I've been on a number. If you actually really want to laugh, I did his Dental Success Summit, episode 310 of the Dentalpreneur. You got to go way back to 2018. That was me on buying a practice. So that was a fun one, episode 310. And then my most recent one on tunnels. Okay, great. Let's listen to this here. I know we only have about 10 or 15 minutes
Practice
left.
transition team and meet them early. Developing relationships is key. So it all goes back to developing this dental focus core, this dental core of your mind, your
I don't
words,
think we have
your
any
hand skills.
sound. Paul.
At Dental Nachos, what
Weird.
we do
Hold
is
on.
There
we
we
want
go.
to
Sorry,
Now it's
guys.
on.
Did it go back? You guys good now? Cool. It's only like a 30 seconds left.
is key. So it all goes back to developing this dental focus core, this dental core of your mind, your words, your hand skills. At Dental Nachos, what we do is we want to help you make good dental life decisions. Help learn from mistakes that other dentists have made, like me, when I didn't have information on how to value a practice, how to work with brokers, and how to navigate this sometimes nacho nuts dentisting business world. I love helping dentists. Our goal is to connect us more together with these ABCs. Always be connecting, always be caring. No one really likes going to the dentist, so we may as well like each other. I think this is a special time for us all to bond together, and I want to be part of the solution in making that happen.
So there was our 6-minute video review. I know, Keegan, this goes to like, are you guys all, you look like you're relaxed. You guys all at home, or you're still in some clinic? I don't want to hold people. Are most people at home, Keegan? Or are they in clinic?
Everyone should be home, I would assume.
Okay, cool. So I went to give this keynote speech, right? I do this. Does anyone follow me on Instagram and Dental Nachos? We have a lot of great hard posts on like what I wish I learned. It really is a lot of great value in there. And I like to source answers within community. So some of the things that I asked before I gave this keynote speech at ASDA for Nebraska, for the Ohio one, I wish I knew how to negotiate non-compete clauses. One of the challenges of DSOs, if you work for a DSO with 8 locations and you sign a contract, make sure that your non-compete clause is not for each location, even though you only work at one. Non-compete clauses are pretty crazy, right? We have very mild ones for us. I'll go back to the dating one. Who would think this is normal? It's like, I'll date you, but if we break up, you can't date anyone on the 4 streets around where I live, right? That's pretty crazy. So that's what these offices are asking. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have any non-compete clauses for associates, but I think that there is some legislation looking to eliminate them completely. And some of them are just ridiculously large that can impact your career later. So now that I gave you stuff to scare you and hopefully aware you, these are the things that will help you in a positive way. I wish I signed up for a sales course to teach the art of closing cases and how to help patients remove roadblocks. One of the things, there's many things, I know dental schools have tough jobs, and I know it's not easy to teach people to be a dentist in 4 years, but they do take in quite a bit of money from dental students. So why don't they teach you about money? The fact that they don't talk about how to discuss finances with patients leaves you in a very vulnerable place when you leave dental school, because the only way to survive and thrive, the only way to help patients is to help them understand how they can pay for the care that will help them. If you cannot do that and you cannot inspire confidence, it can be a very brutal, difficult world as an associate or practice owner. The best book I have ever read on this is To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. I highly recommend you get it on Audible or whatever listening and listen to 30 minutes a day. He is so phenomenal, Daniel Pink. And it's a great book for all dentists to look at. So there's a couple questions here. The topic of not getting enough procedures. Yeah, it's very, very hot on my Instagram account, right? Me, it's like we're the Nacho News Network. I post someone doesn't do enough crowns. Next thing you know, I'm getting angry letters, angry messages from people. What is the solution for current students? So the solution for current students is to look to maximize as possible whatever they give you. I really am a person, like I love having parties or going to parties. I love hosting people. I'm the type of person that I strive to always order too much food because I don't want people to be left without any pizza at a party. So it's nuts to me that dental school does not find a way to over deliver, make cases cheaper, get more people in. So the number one is to maximize what you're doing. Number two, really consider a GPR AGD, because it's just a great, life is really long, guys. Private practice is long. It ain't going anywhere, honestly. GPR AGD, I've done some polling, right? Dentists, we're not the most positive bunch, right? In general, you wouldn't be like, dentist, so positive. When I asked numerous times, who regrets doing a GPR AGD? It's like under 3 out of every 100 dentists. That means like 97 of 100 dentists, like, I'm either glad, really glad, or ecstatic that I did one. I can't pronounce that. So of course, I know what you say. What about the bad GPRs? Well, who here, I'll help you with that, knows Jordan Brown? He lives in Florida. Who follows him on Instagram? Okay. Jordan Brown, very fit guy. We're friends. So Jordan Brown, please type this in for me if you don't mind, Keegan or Brandon. He put a whole guide together. He's got a text number like me. So text residency guide, those are the words, to this number, 407. I'll try to type it in, 407 305 3082. 407-305-3082. Text the word residency guide to him, and he did a whole breakdown of these. So it's a great person to ask to for advice. Someone asked here, can you give advice on how to have a successful working interview as a new grad? So you want the answer? Refuse to do clinical working interviews. Don't do them. I've hired 10 plus dentists. I've never had them do a clinical working interview. Let me explain why. Hi, Keegan. This is your dentist, Dr. Paul Goodman, the guy that you trust. I just want to let you know, I'm bringing in this dentist to see if we want to hire her, Dr. A. If we like her, Keegan, we're going to hire her. If we don't like her, we're not going to hire you. And oh yeah, by the way, she's going to do your root canal today. Good luck, Keegan. I do not get this at all. I find it to be unfair to the patient, unfair to the assistant, unfair to the dentist. There is no need for you to showcase any clinical skills before you're hired. I would highly recommend refusing it. There's a tremendous amount of risk. Who's going to follow up on the case? Did you treatment plan the case? What happens if your work goes sideways? What if you don't get hired? You're malpractice. Any dental practice owner that requires you to do some sort of clinical dance before working on patients, I feel strongly enough to say that's not a place you want to work. I have friends who hire associates. I've hired associates. I've never asked a dentist to showcase their work. Maybe there's a test out period. Maybe you're hired for 90 days. And if either party doesn't like it, no restrictive covenants in place. So I highly recommend just saying no to clinical working interviews, highly recommend saying yes to observing at the practice before you take the job. So Brandon, you want to work for me? I say this is a great place. Say, hey, Dr. Paul, would it be cool if I came and observed for a day? I'll wear scrubs. I'll sign the HIPAA release form. I would love to see your office in action to make sure I'm the right fit for you. Because has anyone been on a date or even hung out with a friend who seemed normal at Starbucks, total raving lunatic when you saw them in the real life? Okay. This isn't about dating, it's about anyone. People can't hide their true selves in a real game. If you came to my house and watched me parent inside of my apartment, I couldn't hide it, right? It doesn't mean you're like, man, Paul's getting frustrated. I'm like, yeah, my 4-year-old never listens. You would get frustrated too. So when you see behind the scenes of a dental office, it's very valuable. So highly recommend you do an observation day and just say no to working interviews. So I think what's awesome about dentistry is we have such a diverse dental student population. I don't know if we give dental school did anything to get credit for this, but I think it's amazing. Genders, countries, background, races, phenomenal, right? I am just a 45-year-old guy from Philadelphia, so I only represent one type of dentist. But does everyone see Darcy in the middle there? She's one of my favorite young dentists, Dr. Darcy. She's holding the beer with blonde hair. So Dr. Darcy graduated dental school. I'm pretty positive she did a residency. She worked at a dental practice as an associate, and she liked it so much she bought into the practice, and the older dentist was going to be her associate and leave. Who thinks that this sounds like a pretty good story, right? Pretty good story. Darcy's living her dream. Well, 1 year into practice ownership, Darcy wanted to return the practice, thought she never should have become an owner, didn't realize how difficult it was to manage people, had to leave her office once and go have a total vent cry session to her orthodontist. We became friendly. I like very much. I said, you got to get a coach, Genevieve Poppy. So she got a coach that totally turned her life around. And now she knows how to manage her practice. But she literally wanted to give up on practice ownership because that can happen. You've seen a new parent. Sometimes they want to give up on parenting, but practices and children have no return policy. They're yours. Okay. And if you want something that's a little bit scarier, that is anyone here? I mean, I have a very close friend, one of the most competent guys I know, hedge fund partner, played Ivy League soccer. It's one of my best friends. Okay. Competent in everything. He had children before me. He goes, Paul, it's nuts. You just have the child and they tell you to take it home and they give you no instructions. And he's like, it's very scary. Okay. Do you want to know why practice ownership is probably scarier? 2 reasons. Your entire financial future is tied to this practice. It's not the same way to your children. They're an expense for sure. And number 2, at the end of the day, you got your children for 18 years and your practice for 30. So you got your practice longer. So it is just as serious a decision. So what Darcy said here is dental school is just the beginning. You do a great job of teaching structure and foundational knowledge to treat patients, but you have to invest in yourself. One of the hardest things to get is how much should a new dentist be investing in CE of some type after school? I think $10,000 a year minimum, somehow $10,000 a year. Investing early in yourself, whether it's an extraction bone grafting course, patient communication course, a variety of courses, business courses. I do also want to share it's the right CE at the right time. So Keegan, no one's going to trust you to do sleep apnea devices because you look like you're 26, because you're probably 26. So if you're like, hey, I took some sleep apnea CE, and then you go talk to an 80-year-old woman named Millie and be like, Millie, you have sleep apnea? She's got sleep apnea. She doesn't trust you at all. Okay. But if you go to Millie and say, hey, Millie, this is Dr. Keegan. I work with Dr. Paul. I remove teeth and preserve bone. Dr. Paul doesn't do that right now, but I do. I got training in it. I'd like to help you with that. Millie will trust you because she needs your tooth removed. So please take CE, fundamental restorative dentistry, extraction bone grafting, how to talk to patients, treatment plan acceptance. Please don't take freaking the Coist continuum 1 year out of dental school. My good friend Todd Fleischman just finished it at the age of 44. Ask older dentists. Don't take courses on specialized procedures when it takes you an hour and a half to do a class 2. It's the right CE at the right time. And every single dentist, no matter how old they are, me included, can always get better at communicating with patients. So I want to be respectful of your guys' time here. I'd be glad to answer a few more questions. I also wanted to, I gave you guys a few more takeaways here. One is, so you get, if you text Burn, you get all those lists of advisors. Then I have some fun stuff to share with you too. We did the Burn. And this one here is text Krebs. This gives you a 30-day pass to our on-demand content. Does anyone follow Dr. Desiree Yazdan on Instagram? She's one of my friends. She has 250,000 followers. It's not a follower contest. Just shows that she's done a really good job sharing her brand. She gets patients from Instagram. She did a whole course creating selfie-ready smiles, how to grow your brand on Instagram as a young dentist. I think it's an amazing opportunity for you guys for free to make a dental-focused Instagram account and really use that to share tips. There's somebody here, I don't know what school she went to. She's so great. Who follows CLT Doc? CLT.ToothDoc, Brittany Baker. She is such a great role model for people your age. She does funny tips. She does eating in her car. Instagram is an awesome opportunity. So you can take a picture of this. Feel free to share this on Instagram. And then I know dental students always like a good contest. So our disability insurance sponsor me are doing a Loops giveaway. So if you want to text Loops, it's going to be for graduating students and GPR and AGD grads. Please get disability insurance. If I'm here to scare you and aware you, this is a true story. Okay. I don't know what I did to become this nacho guy. I wanted to play professional basketball. That didn't work out at all. That was my real dream. I would not be here if I was playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. But whatever I've done, I created this comfort zone with people telling me about their problems who've literally never met me. And I'm proud to be this person, but I am not a mental health professional. And I'm going to talk about why that's important. I am not a dental focused accountant. I am not a financial planner. And I also can't do this, guys. If you're listening, this is really important. I cannot get into DeLorean from Back to the Future and go back in time and fix a problem for you. So someone reached out to me and said, Paul, I can't afford to pay my rent. I'm a new dentist. I'm disabled and I never got disability insurance. So if she had got disability insurance, she would be getting $60,000 a year likely. That's after tax dollars, and she'd be able to pay her rent and pay her food. I think she's looking to tutor dentist, and it's a brutally sad story. And if she had just applied for disability insurance as a D4, she would have something. So it's so key. Do not skip that step. Get some type of policy to protect you. You never know what happens. So you guys also know, I don't know if any of you guys do rock climbing or those Tough Mudder races, or do some, I know dentists, they're interesting. You sometimes like to do very physically active things. You freaking hurt your shoulder at a Tough Mudder, it's eliminated from disability forever. So it's important to get a policy when you're as young and healthy as possible. We have a great disability sponsor. When you text in, you can text disability to that number. It's so key. It's something dental school should talk more of. So before I take a few last questions, I said to you guys, you remember the first stuff, right? Remember the first stuff, and you remember the last thing. So if you guys can just give me 4 minutes of attention, I would love to share with you the last most important thing. And it has nothing to do with teeth and everything to do with people. Nothing to do with teeth and everything to do with people. Stuff that dental school should talk more about at every age and stage along the way. I'm just going to get this 1 second here. You guys have some last minute questions, you definitely can pop them into the chat. I'll be glad to answer them. So one of the questions people asked me from this was, why do I call myself Dr. Nacho? This is 2017 when this first started. My daughter was a lot younger then, like she's 8 now, is like 2 years old. And I created Dental Nachos as a place for dentists to learn, laugh, and be less annoyed together. A place for dentists to have fun, make new friends, and feel like somebody has your back, and to eliminate one of the worst feelings in the world, feeling alone. Our motto is ABC to FLA, always be connecting to feel less alone. A great movie to watch, which is not for kids, is Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a phenomenal movie. All of these groups are fighting. At the end, they have to come together in this concept known as Kumandra to support each other. This is my friend, Dr. Tarek. He's going to be at the event. Keegan, he created Kumandra Doctors Facebook group about wanting others to succeed, not wanting others to fail, not competing against each other. I had an awesome dad as a dentist, sadly passed away in 2016. But what I would say about him is he took helping people seriously, but he didn't take himself too seriously. Some dentists just take themselves way too seriously. And this ABC to FLA thing, it starts with you. Reach out to somebody, talk to someone. You're on an Instagram account, you're scrolling by, someone posts a case, say, thanks for sharing that. I learned that. I learned something from that. You're on Facebook, like something, post something, make people feel less alone, because this stuff, this life can be so difficult, so brutal, so tragic. This is a Dental Nacho C event, just like the one you're going to, Keegan, in 2018. This is Rocco. Rocco sponsored a dental student for this event. Rocco hired a dentist from Dentist Job Connect. In January of this year, Rocco died by suicide. Nobody knows why. I didn't know why. He was a gregarious guy. These classic things. I am not a mental health professional. I know this is a real crisis inside of the healthcare space. A few years ago, I woke up, I looked at a post on Facebook, and I got very shooken up. Said this young female healthcare provider had died by suicide. I thought it was a dental nachoer. It was a veterinary Vets also have a really big issue with dying by suicide. So we're not going to solve this on a webinar. We're not going to solve this today, but what we can do is just reach out for help, ask for help, get help when you need it. I've needed help in life. Give help when you can. Hopefully something like this, giving help, ask for help, and be somebody who has other people's back. There's a national suicide prevention hotline here. And I actually learned recently, which I think is really cool, because periodontal disease, it's kind of like a negative thing. Like the best thing you can have is kind of like a problem, right? Like you can never be healthy. Mild gingivitis, best you can do. It's like I'm flossing all the time. So I'm being so clear, right? I'm not a mental health professional. People reach out to me and say, I really think that you should get mental health counseling. I think that's so important. Just like if you hurt your knee, you wouldn't just try to walk it off. But I do think it's cool that if you look at this physician's support line, there's mild cases of mental health challenges you have. Maybe you need to talk to someone. There's a whole physician support line that's free and confidential, that's staffed by people. So you could take a picture of this. Maybe you never need this. Maybe your friend needs it. Maybe someone's not on this webinar and say, hey, this is important for all of us to know, because this happens to dental students, happens to young dentists, happens to middle-aged dentists, happens to seasoned-aged dentists, and we should make this whole thing better. So I truly appreciate you guys paying attention to this. This is the last thing. ABC to FLA, always be connecting to feel less alone. I know this is tough to say to D1s and D2s, but you're not always going to be a dentist, but you're always going to be a person. So make sure your dental self doesn't mess up your regular self. It's really important to care about being a great dentist, but it's more important to care about being a great person. So you guys were totally awesome. If anybody would like to ask anything, I recorded this for you guys so we can send the recording. Keegan, Brandon, Drew, anyone else? Anyone have anything else they want to share or say?
I just wanted to go back and touch on what Brandon was saying about how there's a lot of dental students that aren't getting their requirements and all that stuff. I feel like at LECOM, we're actually really fortunate. So everyone that's not in clinic yet, because we only have third years in the clinic, we don't have the same problems as other schools where fourth years take all the cases, and because they have to get their requirements done, we can do basically anything that comes across our chair. So don't be too scared about it. Just make the most of it and push dental school is the time to push your limits and see what you can do and see what you can't do. And
it's just to do when you have a bigger, stronger dentist helping you, right? And
exactly.
Also just say, like I teach a lot of implant courses. I did it for many years. It's kind of nerve-wracking to teach someone to place their own implant. So just for the sake of being like kind to the people teaching you, and you've really good advice, Keegan, just like responsibly go out of your comfort zone, but show your instructor that you know what you're doing. Like you watch something on it, you're prepared to do it. Can I try to do this thing? The one thing, when you're going to get to meet him in person, Keegan, you are very lucky to do this. But for people who aren't coming to Philadelphia, Dr. Edmund Thomas is one of my biggest fans. I get to meet him at Link. I'll introduce him to you. So if you're in the chat, take a picture of this or just do this right now. Sorry, hold on. It's a different text thread. Text the word right to 215-543-6454. That's my other text thread. Okay. So Dr. Lincoln Harris, who's coming, he has an 80,000 member Facebook group, Right Global. I have a 47,000 member Facebook group, not a contest, but clearly a lot of dentists are paying attention to what we do. He came to Philadelphia and he recorded a 1-hour lecture on not only being a more efficient dentist, but treating yourself with kindness and how to talk to patients and how to think through things. And Ed Thomas, who's a brand new practice owner with a young child, and constantly texts me saying, thank you, Paul, for putting all this stuff on video. I can't always come to Philadelphia. He said every single dental student should be required to watch that 1-hour lecture before they leave dental school. And you guys can all watch it, but for free by texting that. It's part clinical, part communication, part career advice, but all inspiring you to make you feel better about your decision to become a dentist, but also understand how really freaking hard it is to be a dentist. So really good point there, Keegan, and pushing your limits. All right, guys. Well, I'll give you guys this recording. You guys are awesome. Keegan's coming to Philadelphia. Anyone else from LECOM coming to